Welcome to Education Innovators. I'm Jane King. We aim to bring you the latest in education news from across the country. What are the cutting edge programs being offered from preschool to college? What about adult learning? And how can parents and students navigate and pay for all the education that most think we will need in the 21st century? In today's show, we speak with the head of admissions for the Adelson campus in Las Vegas about how they're adapting to the pandemic, yet still making sure each student is challenged in learning. Advanced Sports Media is here to share how their content helps student athletes find the right school for them. UNLV says remote learning will likely always be a part of coursework. A Las Vegas real estate agent explains why he is seeing as more people are moving to the area. And some innovative high schoolers have a new app they hope will make it easier to shop for sneakers. Now, here's the education news from the week. One question facing Joe Biden is that of college debt. He has promised some student debt relief. One number being tossed around is $10,000 of loan forgiveness for every year of service. That would include working in a school for the government or in a nonprofit setting. Some economists and policymakers have questioned the benefits to the economy if student debt is forgiven and how the Biden administration would pay for it. It's expected to be in the billions. The nation's 45 million student borrowers carry an estimated 1.7 trillion in student loan debt. Meanwhile, a new study says remote learning increased failing grades by 83% in Fairfax County, Virginia. The study was published by FCPS Office of Research and Strategic Improvement, and it found the number of middle and high school students with marks of F in 2 or more classes went from 6% to 11%. The study also found the number of students with disabilities with marks of F of 2 or more classes went from 9 to 19%. That was a total of 111% increase. Meanwhile, a new report found that students have fallen far behind in math because of the loss of in-person instruction that began last spring. Reading losses were not as steep. Well, the vast majority of teachers chose to teach again this year, some even going back into the classroom as in-person classes began again in more and more districts. But since the 2020-21 school year began, thousands of teachers have resigned or quit. While COVID is the central theme in those resignations, educators' explanations for leaving differ wildly, from health concerns to philosophical ones. The reasons for leaving go beyond just returning to in-person school, which some teachers have said they don't oppose with proper precautions. Some school districts have expressed a desire to return to in-person learning, but can't find enough teachers. And finally, global education nonprofit 100 has just released its 4th global collection at its first completely virtual 100 Innovation Summit. The collection demonstrates how educators, parents, and students have embraced new ways of teaching and learning during the pandemic. 55% of these selected innovations target the developments of 21st century skills, 34% require internet access, 47% develop traditional academic skills, 63% develop holistic skills like empathy, mindfulness, and others. 73% of the innovations are nonprofit. 34% of innovations are implemented in out-of-school contexts. The organizers say they hope to continue to encourage as many stakeholders as possible, including schools, educators, administrators, students, and organizations to get involved so they can improve education at scale. Now here's Camille McHugh from the Adelson campus to share what one of America's most innovative schools is doing. Education is seeing major changes accelerated by the pandemic. Now with me is the principal of the upper school at the Adelson Education Campus in Las Vegas, Camille McHugh, and also a parent of a child at that school, Andrea Porcelli. So let's start, Camille, with you and just tell me a little bit about the school and what was the philosophy behind it.
So thank you so much, Jane. The Adelson Educational Campus in Las Vegas, Nevada is really a school that's dedicated to teaching the whole child. And in doing so, we actually serve kids from 18 months to 18 years. And in the upper school, which is really our middle school and our high school grades, we focus on helping students develop both their well-roundedness and what we call their pointiness. So really, as students move through, we encourage them to take a wide variety of coursework, engage in athletics, extracurriculars, volunteerism, but we also provide a large number of focus areas. And focus areas are our organized electives. And through those, they engage their practices in things like pre-law, pre-med, tech and entrepreneurship, and really start to learn about what they love, what they're passionate about, and hopefully build some solid skills that will help drive them towards what they'll select for a college major and a potential career.
Now, when you say pointiness, is that what you mean? Kind of just figuring out who you are, exposing them to a lot of things and figuring out what your passion is, what makes you tick, what do you think about, when you're not at work, or is that what that's about?
Exactly, really driving towards having deep, concentrated focus. What really makes you want to get up out of bed in the morning and go to school and work on something? So, something beyond coursework. Really thinking about if you were to invest yourself into a deep project that would sustain you over a 2-year period of time, which is what we actually ask our juniors and seniors to do, what would that be?
Well, that's so important because life is a grind, right? I mean, if you're not, it's important to enjoy what you're doing and have it kind of challenge you, and that you feel strongly and passionate about it, or it just gets really depressing and boring.
That is absolutely true, and I will say that one of the things that's exciting, and I think the reason that we have Andrea here is we have her children at the school, and to see a student come in through the doors each morning and to know that they're going to do something more than the typical everyday experience.
Andrea, what was it about the Edelson School that attracted you?
Well, my son and daughter, who are a junior and senior, respectively, were really ready for the college experience. They've been to college prep schools on the East Coast, and we had planned to, move back to Las Vegas eventually, but not necessarily during high school. So when I did my research, it was just obvious that Adelson was the only one that offered a highly personalized, yet a very close to college experience in order to have a better understanding of the type of major that they wanted to have in college.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. The college prep thing is really key. And how do you do that, Camille? Like, how do you make sure they're ready just for the time management and the study, discipline and everything that it takes?
We have 3 flagship programs here in our high school program, and they have a couple of acronyms: ACT, ACE, and then Path to College. ACT is what our freshmen and our sophomores engage in, and that actually stands for Adelson Community Theater. And through that, our entire freshman and sophomore classes work on developing and bringing to fruition full stage productions. But when you think about that, it's really both an artistic endeavor and an endeavor of growing and cultivating evergreen skills that are going to be required in any career that any of our students might have someday. In their junior and senior years, they work on ACE, that's their Adelson culminating experience. And again, that's where they move from that well-roundedness of ACT to their pointiness as they're honing in on their specific individual projects within their major focus area. And then lastly, our Path to College, which really takes them from college counseling and thinking about who they are and what types of experiences they might want to have for university, whether they want to go locally or internationally, what they might want to major in, and then including the test prep. We use a program called Prep Expert, which was founded by Sean Patel and funded by Mark Cuban. And in that experience, they learn how to master the PSAT and the SAT. And those are critical gates to being able to gain entry to the university that you want to attend.
Yeah. Okay. So Andrea, let's wrap up with you. I mean, how are your kids reacting to this? I mean, have you noticed a change in them?
Absolutely. They have really flourished at Adelson. I think the individuality is something that they greatly appreciate. My kids have actually studied in 3 countries. So sometimes it's hard to surprise them, but they were very surprised by their teachers and colleagues at Adelson. They've made great friendships, but they really look forward to going to school because the curriculum is rich, the environment is dynamic, and quite frankly, it may be something that most people don't automatically associate with Nevada. But Nevada has really become a beacon for high-tech education for the new millennium.
Thank you, Camille. And thank you, Andrea, for joining us. I look forward to having more conversations about this. Advanced Sports Media hosts the online and off-field destinations for passionate athletes and their parents and fans. And they're also going to be partnering with Lilamex Media as well as 2021 Undergrad on education content going forward. So with me is the Chief Operating Officer of Advanced Sports Media, Seth Burley. So Seth, great to have you with us today.
To be here. Thank you.
So just give me an overview of what Advanced Sports Media is doing.
So Advanced Sports Media provides content for soccer, volleyball, and wrestling on the youth and college level, from match coverage, scores, rankings. We have a heavy emphasis on recruiting, and not just who is being recruited, but also providing tips and resources for how to get recruited and how to navigate the recruiting process. Because, there's parts of it that are easier than others, and there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of sources of information, and we kind of help parents and athletes sift through all that to get them what they need so that they can kind of make sense of the madness.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand this right, so a high school athlete and his or her parents will go to you and you will help them navigate the whole college scholarship application process?
Well, we will give them information. We're not a recruiting service, so we're not going to walk them step by step. We're not going to match them with schools directly. We're not going to send emails on their behalf, but we have recruiting guides. We host webinars with recruiting experts,
Okay.
where we just facilitate and use our platform and distribution to get the information out there, versus being a recruiting service that you pay to walk you through the process. We'll kind of guide you in the right direction, and give you the information you need to make the decisions, but we aren't going to make those decisions for you.
Okay. And I want to ask you real quick about COVID before we get into the partnership. I mean, how has that upended this whole athlete recruiting process?
It's thrown the recruiting cycles into a tizzy. I mean, last year you could argue was kind of a lost season for a lot of these athletes and college coaches who are recruiting. This season, if you consider this season starting in the fall, is somewhat in the same boat right now. Colleges aren't allowed to travel. The dead period, which is the period where potential student athletes can't come to campuses and college coaches can't go out and recruit, has been extended, I believe, through March, or it's going to be extended through March, just to keep campuses healthy. And so a lot of these kids haven't been seen, and the coaches haven't been able to see them. And so there's been a heavy emphasis on video, of course. But a lot of changes with rosters and eligibility and things that have been norms for so long are now not normal. I mean, in many ways, but in terms of athletic recruiting and college athletics, it's just it's had this ripple effect down to, even like the 2023, 2024 recruiting classes are going to feel the effects of this as, rosters change.
Okay, so your work with 2021 Undergrad and Lilamex Media, which we're going to be working on media projects together, like how will what you do complement what 2021 Undergrad is doing?
So our audience is ripe for the 2021 undergrad information. They're achievement oriented, goal oriented, higher achieving students and parents, who are just looking for the best opportunities. Sometimes it's going to be athletics, sometimes it's going to be academics, oftentimes it's both, or you take a gap year, or you go to junior college for a couple of years. But 2021 Undergrad will kind of complement our athletic information with academic information in terms of tuition changes and testing changes and enrollment changes that we just that's not our wheelhouse.
Right. Well, and it's all important when you make this decision.
Sure.
To consider all of that.
That's all part of the puzzle.
Yeah. So Seth, just tell me a little bit, like what kind of advice would you give to high school students now, high school athletes and their parents as they're trying to kind of prepare for this over the next couple of years?
I think now more than ever, keeping your options open is most important. It's always been important, but I think now that, again, everything's changed, having an open mind and evaluating different schools and different opportunities that you may not have looked at before now are more important.
Okay, thanks so much, Seth, for joining us from Advanced Force Media.
Thank you for having me.
2021 Undergrad is a new platform where parents, students can come and learn all about education, college, all the intricacies of looking for a school. And we've also got with us today the head of admissions for UNLV, which is, of course, a rising university, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, with 31,000 students. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Well, let's start with Andrea Porcelli, who is the founder of 2021 Undergrad. UNLV will be featured on the Innovators show, which airs on Cron Television in San Francisco on Sunday mornings. And they're our first university to be featured. So Andrea, if you could kind of tell me a little bit about 2021 Undergrad, and then we'll talk to Chris and we'll go through just exactly what you're trying to do with your new platform.
Yes, so we're very excited. We are the first all university news platform. So we're rather like a Bloomberg or a CNBC. You can go there as a student or a parent and see the latest press releases from universities around the world. It is updated daily. And we do have a distribution agreement in place with the top athletic sports sites for high school students. Which are prep volleyball, top drawer soccer, and the open mat. That represents about 400,000 high school students in 9th through 12th grade. And about 80% of those students are juniors and seniors. And the reason we chose athletes is, of course, they're the ones that are having to rethink their college strategy more than any other student group. So we launched with them last week. We're really happy. We had, over 31,000 unique visitors on the platform. And of course, now we're launching the University Day segment with the Innovators show on Cron TV, which you're hosting.
Yeah, no, that'll be really exciting. And there's so much innovation going on in education that it fits perfectly with the theme of the show. So, and Chris, maybe you could weigh in on that. I mean, when you talk to prospective families, what are they surprised about when you're talking to them about UNLV?
I think one of the main things, if they're on campus back in the day when they could come to campus, hopefully we'll be back there soon, is the beauty of the campus is one of the main things that we hear a lot of feedback about. It's an arboretum, 80 acres of it is, lush plants and shrubs and trees. And so folks aren't really anticipating that in the heart of Vegas. As far as more informational, if we're just meeting with folks, I think a couple of the things that really jump out at them, cost, of course, is one thing that parents are looking at closely, and students, but we're very proud to be such an affordable, excellent option for students in and out of state. The out-of-state students, if they're in a WUI state, get a discount of upwards of $12,000. So it really makes them quite affordable, the tuition and fees of about $12,000. And then I will just also add the quality of the academics and the scope of the academics that we have is extraordinary. And the quality of the experience of the student. Being a commuter campus, I think people kind of picture you coming to class and going home, if you will. But we're really steeped in that traditional mindset of a student that comes in and gets engaged and gets involved. We've got over 300 different clubs and organizations of all types, and about 60% of our students are very involved across campus. So those are some of the immediate things that come to mind.
Well, one thing when I think of Las Vegas, and I thought about this in New York too, is this city is so interesting. I mean, it's like an education in itself, just living in the city versus going to college there as well. So do you find that, is there a lot of kind of partnership between the casinos or the culinary industry and the students at UNLV?
Absolutely, across the board. Gosh, so many thoughts. It's a very exciting place. Who doesn't know of the worldwide destination of Las Vegas, and it's a block from our campus. So it adds to, of course, just the overall experience and excitement for the students. But it's really a big part of their educational experience. We have 10 different academic colleges, and all of them can lend themselves to getting students experience on the Strip, I know you think of hospitality, of course, that's an obvious one, but business and accounting. We've got the fine arts with all the shows and such and music. We've got engineering, our entertainment engineering and design program. Urban affairs, that's all about urban living and making it a quality experience and a safe place and dealing with mental health issues and things like that. I mean, I could go on. It's everything. So students are getting that experience across the academics while they're here, as well as all the different outdoor things. People think of the Strip and don't think of all the beauty of Lake Mead and Mount Charleston, all the different things they can do
Well,
outside, just outside
Hoover,
enjoying the perfect weather.
Hoover Dam itself is a miracle of
Oh
engineering.
yeah,
So, I mean, people, go there and marvel at that. Just it has
yes.
to. So,
Yes, one of the biggest challenges for me, I was thinking about, this interview, as far as promoting UNLV, there's so much. It's hard to do it justice, to be honest, between both the university and the city. That's a challenge, is to get that across to people. It's an extraordinary place.
well, and hopefully students realize that and take advantage of it. And, I don't know that I did when I was in college as much as I should have, but
Yeah.
looking back, I should have done that more. So, Andrea, UNLV will be featured on 2021 Undergrad, right? How is that going to
Well,
work?
yeah, they actually are on the platform. We featured their dual enrollment program, which I think is also
Oh,
very
great.
exciting, where high school students can earn college credits while still in high school. If you want to expand upon that, Christine.
Yes, that's a growing program that's offered through our Academic Success Center. And we have, that's our kind of centralized approach, if you will. So students can get concurrent credit and earn both high school and college credit while they're in high school. We have some students that take just a few courses, and then others can actually graduate high school with an associate's degree and really get a jump start on their studies. We also have, if you will, decentralized, because many of the different academic colleges also have very specific arrangements with different magnet high schools and various high schools across the valley.
So thank you so much, Chris, for coming and sharing the story of UNLV, and Andrea at 2021 Undergrad. I know we'll be talking a lot in the future. So
We look forward to the Focus on Nevada Day, which is, of course, going to be our premier show with Innovators. And obviously, we're very proud to be Nevada-based with such great institutions here in the state.
okay, thank you so much. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so Mike, Las Vegas and Reno are experiencing a gold rush of residents moving there from both coasts, and in particular, the Bay Area. I know a lot of them have been moving to the Lake Tahoe area. So what are you seeing? What do you think's behind that?
I think there's a couple of reasons. I think Corona set it off, but super low interest rates are driving house sales all over the country. The drive to come to Vegas is because our cost of living, taxes, the great outdoors, there's so many things to do, two major sports teams, a few minor sports teams, theater, you have the casinos and strip, what everybody's always known for years. But what most people don't know is Vegas is a great place to live. And there's lots to do here.
Now, do you think the trend is more toward second homes, or are people relocating?
I'm seeing both. A lot of three generational families. I just had customers come in from New York, and the kids came first, and the parents, and the grandparents, and the siblings. So you're seeing people come out here and they just love the lifestyle. Cost of living, what they can get back home, they can get 3 times the house out here. So people are buying their dream homes.
Andrea, how does the residential real estate segment fit into 2021 Undergrad?
We think it's really important to show people the entire lifestyle component of where their children or students, adult students, might be going to school. Obviously, a lot of people are looking at their options right now regarding relocating around the US. And we think universities plus real estate are a great combination in terms of making the right decisions.
What is the value proposition that Las Vegas real estate will offer buyers versus, with income and investment, and how do you sell it in terms of financial package?
So you could still get a great, if you want to buy an investment property, you could still get a great rate of return, where in other parts of the country, you're earning, 1 and 2 and 3 caps. Out in Vegas, you could still get a 5, 6, up to 7 cap on a property. I see this a lot in the universities and parents buying a second home for their kids.
I'd like to
Uh,
add too that it's a great place to be based if you travel a great deal, like I do.
mhm.
I bought a home here 21 years ago. I'm 10 minutes away from an international airport. During my normal course of business, I could be from my home checked in for an international flight within 30 minutes at the gate. And that is a really hard proposition in most US cities.
No,
Yeah.
we agree. I mean, we'll leave 2, 3 hours before flight.
Yeah.
New York.
Wow.
Seriously, you don't know traffic. You got to, it's a headache. So, wow. Okay. Thank you guys. Very interesting. Welcome back. Lorenzo Porcelli, Harrison Kay, and Jaden Inbesk are teenage entrepreneurs that are launching a fashion app. It is called What App, and it's aimed at brand conscious shoppers of all ages. So here to tell me about this are the three gentlemen that are doing this app. So Lorenzo, let's start with you. So tell me about what makes the What App unique. Why is it useful for sneaker streetwear shoppers? By the way, I have a 13-year-old son. This is like right up his alley. So I get what you're doing here. So Lorenzo, if you could kind of explain what app is.
Mhm. So before I get into it, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to have time to explain our business to you. And okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. So What Are Those is an innovative sneaker app that utilizes Microsoft Azure software in order to scan and identify your desired pair of shoes. So pretty much I have come across the problem. I mean, many people have. I don't know if you have, of seeing a pair of shoes on the street or in a store that you just absolutely love, but you just don't know any information behind them. And you end up just like endlessly researching for hours. And most of the time, you don't even get a result. And you just never find out that shoes' specs. So with What Are Those, now you can just whip out your phone camera, point your camera to the desired pair of shoes, and in a matter of seconds, it'll tell you the shoe's brand, colorway, model, average resale price, retail price, and year of release. So this makes it really, really convenient for people who are in the sneaker world and also average consumers.
Very interesting. And I assume you're going to link this to where you can shop it and make a little money that way, maybe at some point.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah, I
great.
totally plan on doing it, yeah.
Okay. How do you plan to launch this with brand sponsors?
That brand sponsors are actually a big part of our business plan, and that's mostly how we plan on making money. So actually, like you said too, if we hopefully partner with a marketplace, let's say like StockX or Goat, we were thinking, and you just introduced the idea as well, every person that we send over there, and they buy a shoe, we can make a profit. Our main business model is, let's say we partner with Nike, and not only can they give us their shoe database and the information about the shoes, but they can also pay us to put their shoes and their items on our app.
Okay, so Harrison, I mean, how will you launch it then with online shoppers?
So thank you as well. As Lorenzo said, it's a great opportunity. So 2021 Undergrad has decided to partner with us, which is great. They've also recently partnered with prepvolleyball.com and toptoursoccer.com, which means that now we will have space on those sites to advertise What Are Those, the What App, and be able to showcase our app so that anybody on there would be able to download it. So they have about 400,000 student athletes on their site, which means that now we have 400,000 people that are going to be exposed to What Are Those. And we want to be featured on our blogs and our database of already existing shoes.
Okay, so Lorenzo, I'll toss this one to you, and you can all chime in if you want to. So why do you think Microsoft may be interested in supporting a B2B solution like What App?
Yes, so we believe that we are a one-of-a-kind, innovative, and driven group of young entrepreneurs that are willing to do whatever it takes to surpass success and reach a new kind of prosperity. We plan on expanding this app globally and reaching people of all backgrounds. And we are very well versed with the streetwear community, and we appreciate the culture just as much as our users would.
Our main target audience would be Gen Z to young millennials, so 13 to 32. Those are the prime ages for people who are interested in the streetwear fashion culture.
Huge leaders like Bill Gates and Sheldon Adelson, which is also the school that we go to, like inspired me since I was young to create a business and have stood out. Adelson, the school that we go to, provides us a super high tech facility in the incubator, which we use almost as a think lab. And I mean, without it, I don't think that we would be here.
Yeah, great idea. So someday when you're like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, you can go, see, when I was in high school, here's what we were doing. So awesome. Congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jane.
Lorenzo and Harrison and Jaden for joining us with What App. Thank you for joining us on Education Innovators. I'm Jane King in New York.